So welcome to another exciting episode with your host Tamoon25. That's me, guys, that's me. I'm Tamoon25 and welcome to my channel. Today we have got some exclusive stuff for you guys to know about. This video is going to touch on the Alien Covenant film that's due out mid-May of 2017. This video is my attempt at doing similar work to Mr. H and the Hybrid Network, at bringing you guys some inside information. Literally, this is tip-top information about the Alien Covenant film. So basically, I was invited as a content creator for YouTube on behalf of 20th Century Fox to a private screening of the brand new Alien Covenant film. Now, I'm just going to state that it wasn't the whole film that we got to see. What we got to see was the whole of Prometheus. They showed us the whole of Prometheus in this private screening, and after, we also got to see some exclusive, never before seen Covenant footage. Now, this is actual film footage that is going to be featuring in the upcoming film of the Alien Covenant film that's due to come out next month. I'm trying to get this video made as quick as possible so that you guys are informed about what's coming. And just before we begin this actual video in its in-depth analysis of what you guys can expect from this awesome film that's coming, and I'm not joking, it's gonna be amazing. This is a spoiler alert. Spoiler alert, because not joking, there is so much stuff that was revealed in those small segments of footage that we got to see that it pretty much can build half of the movie's story, and the only bits we wouldn't know is the remaining half. I'll be completely honest. The way I'm going to format this video, the way I'm going to structure this video for you guys so that you get an idea of what I visually saw, is to add some still images from the film that is available widely on the internet at the moment, and also using the trailers that have been released so far. So anyway, without further ado, let's jump into this video. I hope you guys like this video. Don't forget to leave a like if you do, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss another epic content just like this one. Also, we've got an awesome vlog coming out for you guys very soon, which covers that 20th Century Fox and YouTube collaboration event that I was invited to, and a few other creators were invited to. Probably you'll be seeing some videos coming out probably soon on YouTube from various creators, and I find that they've chosen creators on their size, because my channel is quite a tiny channel. Exposure wise, it probably won't get that much exposure, this video, so it's up to you guys to share this with the world of the internet, to try and get as many people to view this content so that they know how awesome this film's gonna be. And you know, just to touch on something, all these things that I'm going to be revealing just whet the appetite. You know, it makes you salivate just that little bit more to see the remaining of the upcoming film that it looks like it's gonna blow your mind. I mean, what was missing from Prometheus, 100% they have made this up in the Covenant film, and I am hyped and a half. I was hyped before when I was watching the Hybrid Network and I was watching Mr. H reveal some of this information. So anyway, without further ado, let's jump into the video. So from this scene, what we can see is that one of the crew members has become highly infected with the black spore virus, which obviously was transmitted from the interactions that this particular crew member had with a vegetation while on the march in exploring the planet. And obviously we see in the trailer that the spore comes up and goes into his ear, and this is the outcome of the whole virus affecting him. And the spores virus has pretty much an immediate effect on its victim, and you can clearly see this is just a few minutes after. So all of the information I'm going to be giving you guys throughout this video is all factual. This is things I actually saw, so it's not like I'm making a prediction as to what is possibly happening. This isn't the case. This is the only video you're probably going to watch on YouTube that actually has factual, I can back it up, I saw this happening on the screens. What happens here is, from what we saw in the film, is that after the process of them going from Prometheus to the Paradise planet, there is the second segment which no one has seen. Well, I say no one, there is a very small selected number of people who have probably seen these two next compilations that I'm going to be talking about, and they have been broken into like 3-minute segments. So there's two separate, so if you include the journey from Prometheus to Paradise Island, it totals 10 minutes, which confirms a lot of things that have been said already about the film, and also gets rid of any misconceptions that have come up as well in terms of what is actually happening in the film, and you know, what we get to see and all that sort of stuff. This video will definitely clarify a lot of these speculations. So moving on, we come back to this scene where the crew member is obviously been highly affected by the black spore virus, and is obviously heavily convulsing as obviously he's going through the metamorphosis stage of obviously a chest burster coming through. Now, bearing this in mind, during the film we actually got to see two different types of chest bursters. You get to see the first one, which is this one that we're talking about currently, which obviously the chest burster comes actually through his spine, so it actually breaks out of him from his back area, which is something we haven't seen actually in the previous Aliens movies, where we've always seen the chest bursters come out of the chest or come from the stomach or those sort of areas like the front of the body. This is the first time in this film where we get to see a chest burster come out of the back, so it literally like forms itself and just shoots out of the back of the body. And also in this other scene, you actually see the blood is actually like spitting out a little bit, and there's like quite a bit of blood running down the back of the crew member, and the other crew member behind actually leaves the actual area and then shuts the other girl in there with him who actually dies, and the alien that's just been born. And it's really fascinating how the alien actually interacts. We get to this scene where you actually see the other crew member with their knife in her hand, pointing it out towards the actual alien that's going to be attacking her. And literally, I'm not even gonna lie, this scene is a horrific scene. It's literally like they've brought back the horror aspect of the film. Literally, everyone who was watching this with us in that small screening, everybody was silent. Like, it was so intense. I mean, you see this new form of xenomorph which actually attacks this lady, and she tries to use the knife to kind of say, don't come near me, but the actual alien doesn't care. It's actually a very aggressive alien. I mean, it was quite shocking. It's very small, so it's not actually very big at all. Where we've seen it, like in, if you think about the original Aliens movies, where we've seen them come out of the chest of previous crew members, and you see like this small little rugged alien running around the place. This one is nothing like that. This one is very aggressive. Like, from the word go, it's super aggressive, and it's ready to attack anything that's moving, and it literally goes straight for this woman. Like, there is a few scenes which we're going to be running through to kind of showcase this. Like you see in this picture here, this is obviously when it's obviously got a lot bigger, but we see it when it's really tiny, and the way that it's protrude over this victim is the same as it is on the lady, on the woman from the crew member from the previous scene. And obviously what happens next is that we see this scene here where this crew member, which is the crew member who actually locks her in that room and runs off. The alien attacks her and is proper going for it, like basically he's gonna kill her. She's ran off to go get a weapon. Now while she's run off to go get a weapon, she actually goes and speaks to the guys who are still in space about the issue that's happening on the ship. Basically she speaks to them and explains that there's some problems happening or whatever, but the communication isn't very clear. It's very distorted, and there is a small snippet of it within the trailers which I'm playing right now. I think that snippet is when she's actually ran to go get a weapon, and then what happens is she runs back to where this window scene is. She sees her being attacked on the floor, basically. The alien's obviously going for it, and she opens the door and shoots the alien, well, tries to anyway, and misses every single chance. The thing's just so rapid, it's unreal. So she misses every shot, and then the alien tries to charge at her, so she shuts the door again, starts to run away, which is when you see her in the trailer running away from that door. That's the next scene, and the alien actually smashes through the window of that door, and when the alien smashes through that window, it then starts to chase her down that corridor. And obviously, just bearing this in mind, the alien is still a tiny alien baby. It's not like fully, you know, matured yet. It's still a tiny xenomorph. So literally it's chasing her down this corridor, and she then finds herself in this area here. So in this area here, this is when she's taken like maybe 7 shots. This is after about 7 shots that she's taken at the alien. She's shot different parts of the ship, and this final shot that she takes at this scene that we are at now, she actually ends up exploding one of the flammable canisters in the corner of that room. And you actually see this in this shot here, where you can actually see the aliens, where the arrow is pointing. That's where the alien is, and just to the right of that, or just behind it, you can actually see this yellow canister, and she basically misses the alien and shoots this barrel behind her. And this is where we get the scene of the exploding ship. This is where we get this from, where the ship actually it blows up as the other crew members are running back, because 2 incidences take place at the same time. So they literally have like massively hyped what's happening within the film. It's intense. So you see Walter running back towards the ship, with the rest of the crew following behind, and it's too late. Everything has gone to poop. So yeah, anyway, moving on. So from that scene, you get the big explosion of the ship, and the bit that they cut from, we then get to see a little bit more, which is obviously she actually runs off the ship while being on fire, and then you get the massive kabam. And it's quite sad. It's a very touching scene, because 2 things have happened that no one knows about, and obviously there's another leading part that's happening after that. So then that's the second segment that we got to see. So the other thing as well to talk about within this within the film that we have seen, when we see the mothership, the actual main ship that's in space flying towards the Paradise Island planet, this is obviously the main ship, and obviously Tennessee and some of the other crew members like James Franco, who played Branson, and also a couple of other guys, don't actually leave the ship. They actually stay with that actual ship, and there's like a separate ship which actually departs off of this main aircraft, very similar to the kind of ship that we saw from Prometheus in size. And we actually see a part of this during their descent into the actual atmosphere. We only get to see this, a very small snippet of this, but it kind of draws enough attention to it so that you get an idea of, oh, this is where this is what the entry is like. And one thing that was really interesting that I found was during their entry, the way that the ship actually comes in, that there is an initial first ship that goes onto the planet, and that ship is carrying obviously certain people on there, like Walter's there, and a lot of the other crew members are there, especially the ones that you see victim to the first alien attack. The entry into the planet is a very rough one, which is not something that you actually see in any of the trailers, but it was quite funny watching it, because there was like a rain which was hitting the front windscreen of the aircraft as it was penetrating the atmosphere and coming down. Very thick, stormy kind of atmosphere wasn't a pleasant thing at all. A lot of the crew that were on the actual ship going into the atmosphere, they had a very worried looking face. Even the person who was flying the ship, which was Amy Smith, is the lady who actually is flying, who's piloting this ship. They hit this like storm, this really thick area between the planet's surface and the planet's exterior, and there's like this black tarry kind of rain which is hitting the windscreen. Obviously the crew and the people within that ship aren't paying attention to this, because they don't know that the rain's meant to be clear or it's meant to be black or whatever it's meant to be. But the rain is actually like a black rain hitting the windscreen. And obviously for those of us who've seen trailers and know about the black goo from Prometheus, and obviously these guys are coming from, you know, 10 years later after Prometheus is done and all that jazz, and they're coming to that planet to kind of try and repopulate Paradise Island. They don't know that this black goo is harmful or is a virus. It was really remarkable to see that black rain, and they were actually just wiping it away, and it was a very traumatic kind of time where you kind of thought, oh, is something going to happen here, because it was very intense as they were coming into the island. And then obviously nothing happens, they clear that little bit, and then it's just completely clear. And this is where you actually see the ship flying over that massive lake area, and that lake area is obviously as they've just come into the planet and past that stormy area. And if you look at this image in particular, you can actually see like above it's very, very cloudy, and that's where all that stormy black rainy weather was. And even now when I look at this particular footage, you actually see the water here doesn't look clear. It actually looks like a black liquid, and there is a really high probability that when David, which he does do, when he drops all of those black goo capsules on the engineer's home planet, and you know, when they're on the engineer bit, that it actually contaminates the whole planet and consumes everything that's living. And obviously these are the answers that we don't know about of how you can stay protected from it, but it would appear now that everything has died due to this black goo or this black viral liquid. Also, just to touch on a couple of things during the actual Prometheus to the Paradise Island sequence, which is in the first part of the revealed exclusive screening, is the journey that David and Elizabeth Shaw take in their journey from Prometheus to Paradise Island is a very remarkable one, because obviously this is where David learns the more human side, I'd say, to his character than what there has been before. Whereas before, I think in Prometheus we saw him as a very evil character, and he did a lot of like he seemed very like maybe unknowingly but connivingly evil, and everybody probably in the audience who watched Prometheus would have got that feeling that he's up to no good, or he's not, because he's only a robot, you know, so he can only learn from what he's taught. But you can get a sense from this point that whatever his programming was before, or the influences that were involved in his life before, especially from Wayland, are very sort of target driven, so searching for outcomes and looking for results and answers, rather than looking at what is right and what is wrong morally, more on the sense of what does this do, how can, you know, this progress or make things change or whatever it may be. And when obviously Elizabeth Shaw saves him, and then they obviously get on another juggernaut, which then takes them to the Paradise Island, because obviously David knows how to operate the ship. He then learns about how there's the other side of the humanity, of the human side, through Elizabeth Shaw, and how much she takes care of him and helps to put him back together basically, and rebuild him and make him whole again. And during that process he's learned like a different side or a different way of how humanity is, and then learning about the moral aspects of, you know, guarding and being protective and what have you. And something which is really interesting during that the screening was when David says, "We are going back to our maker." We are, as in him and Shaw. But David isn't actually human. He's actually an android. He's actually a robot. And for him to say that already can kind of give you an idea of how his mentality has changed and his way of thinking has changed, because he sees himself now as human rather than as a robot or an android. Also, they showed in detail of him putting Elizabeth Shaw to sleep, into hypersleep, so that obviously she won't age and what have you, and that, you know, he said that he will wake her when we arrive, and then he quotes he was then on his own again, and him being on his own again gave him a chance to then learn even more about the engineer's race, the engineer's ways, the engineer's lifestyle, and their purpose. And then obviously you get the old David coming through of, you know, getting away from the sort of human side and the moral side and looking more on the essence of revenge. And this is where you hear him say, for them to wait our arrival, you know. So the funny thing is, when they get to the engineer's planet, David doesn't actually wake up Elizabeth Shaw. He leaves her asleep, and that massive black thing that you guys see that looks like a scorpion's tail, that's the best way I can describe it. It's like a massive scorpion's tail. That's actually the loading bay, or like the docking station of where juggernauts actually land, and it levitates in the air and what have you. And the juggernaut lands there, and obviously then you hear David doing the quotation and releasing the black viral goo on the population of the engineers, and we get to see the actual goo hit the ground and actually starts to decompose and statuarize the actual engineers, and it literally just smothers the whole area. Literally, even the air and everything gets completely engrossed in this evil. If you guys are curious to know about the whole Juggernaut, how did they get a second Juggernaut ship, if you go back to the original the Prometheus film, when they first enter LV-422, they actually see those structures that are on the ground, and there's not one like that tomb looking structure. They go and explore the first one, but there's actually 6 others or 7 other of exactly the same structure, one after another, and each of those have got the Juggernaut. In each of those have got a ship inside the ground in the same format or in the same way that we've seen it from the original Prometheus film. But just going back to topic, David releases hell on the engineers as a form of revenge for humanity, as a form of, you know, I am, like, we are more superior than you because we were able to outthink you, we were able to outmaneuver you. You didn't expect us to be here, but we have, you know, managed to through all of the obstacles end up here, where you guys thought you were gonna erase our species. We are erasing your species. And bearing in mind David's way of thinking, his current persona is he feels he is human. You know, where you hear in Prometheus a lot of the times Wayland referred to David as someone with no soul, that he will never have a soul, that he will never be able to feel. He'd only understand the feeling, but he won't be able to feel. He doesn't have a soul. He's not a real person, and he says it quite bluntly, to be honest, even when David's present, as to say that there's no feeling there, like, it's just a machine. But obviously, once we've gone through the whole process of Prometheus and we've ended up at the Paradise Island, David has taken a completely different turn. He is now no longer feels like he is a robot or he's just an android. He actually feels like he's human, or he has a soul, or he is able to comprehend feeling like humans do. And that is the fundamental point of David's character change, and why we see this new David rather than the David that we saw from the Prometheus movie. Also, thing I want to touch on as well during the private screening is the third part, and I just wanted to touch on the full extent of that is obviously what I've explained already, but there's also another incident. So the other incident involves Christopher, who is played by Billy Crudup. He gets attacked by a facehugger. Now, when he gets attacked by the facehugger impregnates him with a egg. And it's a very quick scene because they don't, within the film, they don't actually show you the whole process as such. All they show you is there's a team of them, and they've kind of split up now within the area where they are, which looks very similar to like the Juggernaut scene, like inside, like the structure is very alien with the, you know, the ribs of the arches and stuff, and they're walking through. They've split up into different kind of teams, and obviously Christopher, who is played by Billy Crudup, goes into this chamber where they discover all of these alien eggs, and then it goes forward to actually examine one which starts to flower, and he looks in, and obviously we see within the trailer that an alien jumps out at him. Then it goes to black because I don't know why they always do this, but it goes to black basically. The next scene we see is him waking up. Now when he wakes up, the facehugger is no longer in his face, it's actually like palm down on the ground next to him, and he wakes up like, oh, what's going on, what's happened, like in a state of amnesia, like he's not sure of what's gone on. And they take the facehugger as a specimen to go back to the ship for examination. He is unaware that he's been attacked by this thing, and that it's placed an egg or an embryo within his system. Now on the way back to the ship, there is an incident that's taking place, which is obviously to do with the ship exploding. This is why I said that we see so many things happen in such a short space of time. Basically, they're running back to the ship because obviously of what's happened on the ship. As they're approaching the ship explodes, and Christopher Oram, who's played by Billy Crudup, who is obviously the partner of Tess Hubrich, who is the girl that we see in the film who shoots the weapon. She is then on fire, basically, and then the ship blows up, and he tries to rush forward to try and save her. Now, with all of this happening, this motion happening, it causes, I think, an acceleration of the embryo within his system. And I mean, we don't have, the thing we don't see, or we didn't get to see, is the time length of when they landed, because there was two teams. They went in two separate ways. So one team went in one direction and another team went in another direction. So the other team, obviously Goran de Kloot is the person who gets affected by the spores virus which comes up from the plant. That's one team. So they rush back because obviously he's sick, and she reports back that Carmen Ijogo, who plays his partner in the film, reports back that he's very sick and he needs help and blah blah blah. So they're carrying him back to the ship, and the other team are unaware of this, and are in a different expedition, because it seems like Tennessee up in the mothership has control over communication over the whole team, or something like that, and there's like a breakup of communication when they enter that alien sort of looking area where the eggs are. There's like this communication breakdown where there's no they can't seem to transmit any communication. So they're unaware of this incident taking place back on the ship. So obviously the facehugger incident happens. They then start to go back with the specimen, and as they leave that area, they then start to get signals, radio signal back, that there's an issue back at the ship. So then they rush back to the ship, and obviously the whole explosion things happens, and through that it seems like to accelerate, like I was saying before, the embryo process within Billy Crudup, who is Christopher in the film. And this is what I was saying, when we see different forms of the chest burster happening, the different processes that it goes through. And this was a really cool thing to happen, because I never thought we'd get to see this in a film. But this chest burster didn't come out of the chest at all. It actually came through his mouth. He was getting violent and they held him down, and then all of a sudden he just leans forward and it's just like this vomit of this chest burster, and then he's dead. Like, he's no longer alive. It's actually a very horrific incident to take. Like, even to watch, I was like on the edge of my seat watching this, because one, I was trying to enjoy what I was watching, and two, I was trying to absorb the information to then present it to you awesome people in the world of the internet. And the thing is, it's so hard to remember some of this stuff, because it was like 3 days ago now, and it's just so difficult to remember everything that happened in detail, because it's details that is important. And what's really fascinating with this chest burster coming out of the mouth, like being vomited up as a whole sack, and the amazing thing is, it came out as a sack and nothing happened. It just came out like a balloon with something inside it. Like, you imagine like an embryo with a baby inside the embryo, and it comes out of the sack with, like, in that form, and then the creature is like instantly alive and instantly aware, and they try to shoot it straight away. They try to kill the thing, and it just runs straight into the woods. So now there's been an incident on one ship where it's blown up and everything, and the alien on that ship has escaped. This alien that's just come out of Christopher has also escaped into like the vegetation that we see, that the hay that there is around there. And then obviously now there's a heightened, like, what the hell should we do next? And it cuts there. That's all we get to see. We don't get to see anything else. So that was the 10 minutes of extra footage that we got to see of the film, which, I'm not even gonna lie to you, it was amazing to watch. I mean, it literally just made us want to see the film, like, instantly. I can't thank 20th Century Fox and YouTube enough for inviting us for this exclusive screening at the Covent Garden Hotel in London. It was probably the coolest part of the whole day. And obviously, while all this incident is taking place on the Paradise Island planet, Tennessee and a couple of the other crew members are actually still in the mothership, which is in space still, like orbiting the Paradise Island. So it's not like everyone from the crew is down there, which is why we see in various other trailers like landing ships and different landing platform kind of vehicles and ships that have landing pads and stuff like that. Because obviously this is now just assumption that there is additional flying sort of ships and aircraft that they are able to dispose to the aid of the crew on the planet. This is where we see probably the other incidences that take place during the trailers, which obviously is all, again, speculation as to what we can actually see. But from all I can say is, from what I know, is the first half of the film is bloody amazing, and it's going to keep you on your toes, literally all the way through. It's going to keep you on your toes. The film is intense. It's going to be like the most, I mean, where Prometheus, we didn't really get to see much to do with the actual xenomorphs. In Covenant, we're going to see a lot of xenomorphs. I mean, we've seen it from the trailers. There's going to be xenomorphs in it, but the thing that is going to be the most shocking thing is the variant ways that they've made the xenomorphs able to burst onto the scene in these different ways. I mean, we've never seen that before on an alien film, from what I can recall. I've seen all the alien films, and I've never seen that they're able to burst from different parts of the body. They've always come from the chest, front, you know, stomachy area. They've burst from that area there normally. God knows how many other places they'll be able to come from. But there's sort of thoughts that have gone into this from Ridley Scott and the team. And obviously we met Connor O'Sullivan, who is one of the designers of the alien xenomorph, which is amazing. I mean, he helped design the baby xenomorph which we see in the film, and also all the other xenomorphs that we see throughout the Alien franchise. Obviously we got to meet the cast as well, which was cool. We got to ask them some questions, and if you guys haven't done so already, be sure to go check out vlog season 2 episode 4, which shows the full day of the Alien Day special, thanks to 20th Century Fox and YouTube for putting that on for us. So you guys can go check that out if you want some additional content to watch alongside this, which is coming out first. That vlog will be coming out shortly after, maybe a couple of days after it'll be coming out on YouTube. I hope you guys have enjoyed this small breakdown of the Alien Covenant film, which is due out the 18th of May 2017. Hopefully you guys will check it out. It's going to be a pretty, I'm even going to joke when I say pretty good. It's going to be the most epic film this year. It's going to be one of those films that is going to be remembered. But as always, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys are hyped for the Alien Covenant film, which will be coming out on the 18th of May. I'm mad hyped for it. I cannot wait to see that film now. I hope you guys didn't find my style a little bit too excessive. I'm not as good as Mr. H or as the Hybrid Network, but I hope I've done it some justice, and I hope a lot of you guys can take from this film the mad hype that is coming your way on the Alien Covenant film. Again, I want to say a massive thank to 20th Century Fox and YouTube for inviting us to this exclusive screening, and I want to say a massive thanks to all you guys who have tuned in, have watched this video, have left a like on the video, and also shared it on all your social medias. Also, don't forget guys to go check me out on Instagram. We have got some awesome pictures from the Alien Day celebrations of the Alien Covenant movie. All the important stuff is down below in the description. Be sure to go check that out if you haven't done so already. But until next time guys, as always, stay safe, stay awesome, and peace.